The man who controls himself cannot be controlled by anyone. This is Machiavelli's most dangerous lesson, and if you learn to apply it, no one will ever be able to stop, break, or stop you. Most people live imprisoned by emotions, dependencies, and illusions. They react hastily, with fear, and with a need for approval. They are governed because they think like those governed. The prince, however, does not. He observes, calculates, and decides without asking permission. He does not need applause to exist, because his power does not come from the gaze of others. It comes from self-mastery. That's what we'll unravel here. How to build an iron mind, capable of shattering illusions, facing shadows, and sustaining decisions that no one can shake. It's not about pretty phrases. It's about cold discipline, the kind that changes the way you enter a room, how you position yourself in a relationship, how you're perceived in any group. And I'll leave you with a question to ponder and answer in the comments. What holds you back most today? The fear of losing someone? The need to be loved? Or the constant doubt about your own worth? Your answer will show you where your prison begins and also where your liberation can begin. Now, let's dive into the first weapon of this method, the iron mind, the key to never thinking like a subject again and starting to think like a prince. The iron mind, thinking like a prince, not a subject. Think about how many times you've been manipulated, perhaps at home, when a partner dictated the rules of how you should behave, as if their word carried less weight. Perhaps at work, when colleagues took advantage of your goodwill to push responsibilities that weren't yours. Perhaps in your family, when obligations you never chose were handed down as if they were sacred. And how did you react? Emotionally, angry, resentful, trying to justify yourself in long speeches to prove you weren't wrong. But the truth is simple. Those who react this way aren't in control. They're simply obeying. It's the behavior of a subject, of someone who lives waiting for permission to exist. Machiavelli knew that the first prison is not in bars, but in the mind. He who thinks like the governed will always be governed. This is why so many men appear strong on the surface, but are fragile in the real game. Because at the decisive moment, they act not as leaders, but as pieces on the board. They are driven from one side to the other, unaware that they have surrendered power before even fighting. The prince, on the other hand, acts differently. He doesn't rush. He doesn't respond emotionally. He doesn't seek anyone's approval. He observes first. He calculates. And when he decides, he doesn't ask for approval. The world may not like it, but the world understands. This is a mind that doesn't bend. This difference isn't arrogance, it's discipline. You can start practicing this now. The next time you're pressured, take a deep breath for 5 seconds. These 5 seconds are the wall between you and manipulation. Instead of exploding or trying to please, ask the cool question, if I were the leader here, what would I do? The answer won't come with justifications, but with clarity. And then keep it short. A no that doesn't need an explanation. A yes that already has a built-in limit. This simple gesture changes the way the world perceives your presence. Think of a chessboard. All the pieces see the same scenario, but only the king decides where the war ends. It's the same game, but not the same mind. Those who think like subjects act to survive the next move. Those who think like princes are already choosing where the game will end. This is the difference between reacting and governing. This is the first step to power, exchanging haste for observation, emotion for calculation, justification for decision. Because in the end, it's not brute force that makes someone unbreakable. It's the iron mind that sustains every choice. The body may falter, resources may fail, but a mind trained in discipline is never broken. Now think about yourself. When was the last time you reacted like a subject? When did you justify yourself too much, try too hard to please, or respond emotionally when you could have prevailed with calculation? If you're brave enough, write in the comments. Naming this mistake is more than just venting. It's the first step toward turning it into discipline. And if you want to advance even further, know this: the next step is even more dangerous, because it's not enough to think like a prince before the world. You also need to face what you hide from yourself, your own shadow. And it's from this that comes the strength or ruin of every decision you make. The mirror of the shadow, seeing what you deny in yourself. It's always easier to point outward than to look inward. You call someone controlling because, deep down, you fear your own insecurity and inability to take charge. You accuse someone of selfishness because, silently, you wish they had the courage to prioritize themselves. You laugh at others' arrogance because you secretly envy their freedom to speak without apology. What you can't stand in others is a reflection of what you can't accept in yourself. This is the mind's cruelest trick, projecting the shadow onto others and believing oneself free from it. Machiavelli was under no illusions. He knew that those who refuse to face their darkest instincts become their slaves. You can try to hide, mask, deny, but the shadow you reject always finds a way to govern your choices. What you accept, you govern. What you deny governs you. Look at the anger you feel. It doesn't arise out of nowhere. It's proof that there's something you haven't managed to assert, a limit that hasn't been respected, a voice that's been swallowed. Look at jealousy. It exposes where you're still too dependent, where your autonomy dissolves in the approval of others. Look at envy. It reveals the life you wanted to live, but don't have the courage to build. Denying these signs doesn't purify you. It only blinds you. Discipline is to face it without looking away. Try it. For 7 days, write down what irritates you most about others. And next to it, write coldly, where do I do, or would like to do, the same thing? This exercise is uncomfortable. At times, it's even humiliating. But it's in this shock that the shadow loses its venom. A nameless enemy dominates you. A named enemy can be used. Think of a broken mirror. It only shows distorted pieces, and you convince yourself the monster is always the other. But when the mirror is whole, the truth appears, and it's not pretty. You see what you carry behind your own eyes. Ugly, heavy, brutal, but also yours. And when you accept it, something changes. The monster stops commanding. It obeys. If you don't accept your own shadow, it will act in your place. It will push you to seek approval when you should command respect. It will make you yield out of fear when you should stand your ground. It will force you to react violently at inappropriate times when you could act strategically. But when you acknowledge it, the shadow transforms into energy. Selfishness becomes self-preservation. Anger becomes firmness. The desire for control transforms into leadership. Now I ask you, when was the last time you hated someone for a trait that deep down also lives within you? If you have the courage, write in the comments. This confession is more than just a rant. It's the first step toward self-government. And when you master your shadow, you're ready for something even more brutal, cutting through the illusions that keep you weak. Because it's not enough to face what's inside you. You have to destroy the lies the world has planted in your mind to keep you docile. The illusion cut, breaking narratives that keep you weak. How many times have you believed you needed to be good to be loved? useful to be accepted, patient to not lose the person close to you. These phrases seem like virtues, but in practice they're chains, and chains made of paper, fragile but suffocating because you believe them. This is where many become easy prey. By thinking they need to prove their worth at every moment, they place themselves at the mercy of others' judgment. Machiavelli knew those who rule the game don't seek approval, they seek results. Love bought with infinite sacrifice becomes cheap currency. Acceptance earned through submission becomes contempt disguised as tolerance. You need to cut through these illusions with a cold blade. The test is simple. Every time you feel the phrase, "I have to do this to avoid disappointment," stop, take a breath, and ask, "If I don't do this, what is the worst possible outcome?" The silence that follows this question often reveals the deception. The weight you were carrying wasn't a stone, it was wet paper. Most of the time, the actual consequences are small. Maybe someone will frown. Maybe an invitation will be withdrawn. Maybe a comment will be made. None of these things destroy you. What destroys you is living as a prisoner of approval. The cut hurts because illusions are anesthetic. But when you cut, you realize there was nothing there but fear. Think of paper chains. They seem solid when they wrap around your body, seemingly impossible to break. But one sudden movement and everything falls to the ground, revealing there was never any real strength. Such are the beliefs you've carried since childhood, that you must always be nice, always helpful, always understanding. Fragile chains, but effective as long as you don't dare break them. What Machiavelli would teach is simple. Those who govern don't live to please, they live to decide. The prince who seeks love becomes a hostage. The prince who seeks efficiency becomes respected, even by those who don't love him. Now, look at yourself. What's the biggest illusion you still harbor? Is it that you need to be loved by everyone? That you need to always be available? Or that giving in protects you from losing ties? Write in the comments. Naming the illusion is already starting to shatter it. And when you cut these invisible chains, something more solid remains: your will. And that's where we come to the next stage. The wall no one crosses. The unbreakable will. The unbreakable will. Decide once and kill the doubt. Few things destroy respect more than hesitation. You say, "I won't," but then reconsider. You say, "I'll help until such and such a time," but then drag it out until you're completely nullified. This wavering turns your word into counterfeit currency, always in circulation, but worthless. The mistake is to believe that flexibility breeds love. In fact, it breeds distrust. People don't trust those who back down from their own decisions. Machiavelli knew that firmness is more frightening than physical strength. A wall that remains standing after the first blow is rarely attacked again. If you want to regain power, you need to learn to eliminate doubt the moment you decide. It's not about never making mistakes, but about sticking with it even when it hurts. If you said, "I'm not going," don't go. If you promised to be there by 8 p.m., get up and leave at 8 p.m. without explaining yourself. This kind of consistency creates a pattern. The world reads it and understands. With you, there's no point in insisting. Consider the metaphor of an iron door. Those who knock once and don't open quickly learn that there's no point in wasting energy trying again. But a door that creaks, that seems to give way, will be pushed until it falls. You decide which of the two doors it will be. An unbreakable will isn't built on grandiose promises, but on small, repeated tests. Every time you meet a simple limit, you reinforce the wall. Every time you back down, you open a crack. Respect isn't formed in speeches. It's formed in these silent gestures of coherence. Now, think about your life. How many times have you regretted something not because you said no, but because you went back on your no? How many times have you undermined your own authority by trying to appear more flexible? If you have the courage, write in the comments. This reflection is painful, but essential. Either you stand by your word, or your word is worthless. And when your will becomes unbreakable, something greater happens. You don't just stick to your decisions, you rule the game. Because a mind that doesn't give in to fear, doubt, or the need for approval is a mind no one can break. That's where we reach the ultimate transformation. The ultimate transformation. When no one controls your mind, you rule the game. Ultimately, it's not others who break you. It's not friends who distance themselves, partners who pressure you, or colleagues who try to manipulate you. The real tormentor is your own dependence. The fear of losing companionship, the hunger for approval, the thirst for status. As long as these ghosts dictate your choices, anyone will have power over you. Machiavelli already knew. The man who doesn't need to be loved to make decisions is unbreakable. True respect isn't born from acceptance, but from self-sufficiency. When you don't need an audience to act, everyone starts to mince their words before speaking to you, because they realize they can't buy you. This is the ultimate transformation, becoming sovereign over your own mind. It's not isolation, but independence. You can coexist, you can love, you can cooperate, but never again as someone begging to fit in. You are self-sufficient, and for that, you are respected. Practice in silence. Establish 3 routines of personal honor: exercise, reading, financial discipline, or any habit that strengthens you. Do them in secret, without telling anyone. Every time you honor yourself, you create an invisible fortress. Those who respect themselves automatically demand respect from others. The image is powerful. A solitary tower high on the mountain. It doesn't ask for visitors. It doesn't beg for attention. But all who reach it bow their heads before it. Respect isn't negotiated. It's commanded by presence. Ask yourself, what still holds you back today? The fear of losing someone? The desire to be accepted? Or the inability to stand on your own 2 feet? Write in the comments. Naming this weakness is the first step to leaving it behind. Because in the end, when no one controls your mind, no one can stop you. You are no longer a piece on the board, nor a soldier in a line. You become the prince who decides where the war ends. This is the point at which solitude ceases to be fear and becomes absolute power. This is the moment when Machiavelli's most dangerous lesson becomes yours. Without power over yourself, you will always be ruled by others. This is what Machiavelli saw. The most important throne is not the one erected over men, but the one erected within your own mind. If you do not control your impulses, you will be manipulated by the weakest hands. If you do not face your shadow, you will live haunted by it. If you do not cut off your illusions, you will carry chains that never existed. The lesson is simple and dangerous. The iron mind observes before acting. The mirror of shadow reveals the monster and tames it. The cut of illusion liberates. The unbreakable will scares more than any physical force. And in the end, when you no longer need approval, when your discipline speaks louder than fear, no one can stop you, because you rule the game. Think now, where have you failed most so far? Was it the weakness of giving in to fear, the illusion of seeking love at any cost, or the hesitation that killed your authority? Write in the comments. This answer isn't a rant. It's the first stone in your tower. And never forget, The man who depends on applause will always be a slave, but the man who is self-sufficient already rules. The world bends, not because he asks it to, but because no one can bend it. If this lesson opened your eyes, sign up now. This is the space where you learn to never be manipulated, humiliated, or discarded again. Here, every video is a weapon. And remember, those who rule themselves already rule the world.